Hey guys, Mapletail here. Happy holidays! Around this time of year, I usually draw something a little festive or at least wintry. So here's this year's drawing for that. Let's get into it. I normally draw some festive warrior cats or at least some kind of cat for this, but I wanted to switch it up today with a scene that's been floating around in my head featuring a couple of my OCs. The OCs I'm drawing today are Avon Swale and his daughter Rosie Swale. I usually don't delve too much into my OCs here, or really anywhere online outside of art, as the story/world that they're from is very special to me, and it feels super personal sharing too much about it. It's a world I've been expanding, writing, and drawing about since 2016. That's like almost 8 years now. And I barely say a word about it to anyone. But I do think it would be fun to make some more content about it, so here we are. Avon was born to the Swales 10 years ago, from what I consider to be the present day in the timeline. Today's drawing takes place a fair bit in the future. Avon was born with a twin brother, Obi, who didn't survive. The Swales have lived in Beachtown, on the continent of Florin, for generations. Back then, it was just the East Beach. They are a family of water mages by birth, an ability that Avon never grew into. Though he was loved by parents Day and Keiko and his sister Saga, he was a disappointment to most of his extended family. When they turned 16, they began to travel with the pirate crew on the ship the Blooming Dusk. He sought them out when he heard that an ancestor of his, Rose Swale, was a part of the crew 200 years ago. Rose was known as one of the most powerful water mages in the history of his family, so he thought he might gain some insight into unlocking his powers if he could learn a little bit more about her. The crew's captain, Terry Locke, welcomed them onto the ship. The crew of the Blooming Dusk are largely vampires, who I call Night Fangs in my story, so several of the crew members knew Rose personally. Terry explains that Rose gave up her magic to become a Night Fang, and was a founder of the Blooming Dusk crew, along with himself and another Night Fang called Lime. He showed Avon a painting of the three of them from 200 years ago, and told him that Rose had unfortunately died 10 years back, in a battle with another pirate crew of the ship the Silver Crow. Terry never even saw Rose's magic, so he doesn't have any advice for Avon. About a year into traveling on the Blooming Dusk, Avon gets an opportunity to have an audience with the god of the East Sea, Calobios, who was the one to gift water mages their power originally. He tells Avon that if they're meant to gain power over water, then they will, and sends the crew on an unrelated mission. Avon remains with the crew even after largely giving up on becoming a water mage, finding a home with them. Terry and Lime adored Rose, so they were overjoyed to have another Swale on the crew. Avon also gains a sibling-like relationship with a 6-year-old named Honeylocke, who is being raised by the crew after being found as the sole survivor of a shipwreck, and considers much of the crew in a parental light. After completing the aforementioned mission, which involved breaking a siren's curse, the crew stop at Beachtown, and Avon is convinced to visit his parents so that they know he is okay. The next section of story I've written is when Avon is 28. They begrudgingly take Honey to a Ebla's Eve party, a winter celebration, so she can see her friend and crush, Elm. The party is being held in the central wood of Florin, in a village in the Pinewood Forest. This is where Avon meets and falls in love with Lilac Caldwell, a human from the nearby Blue Kingdom. The two spend every moment together that they can when the ship is docked at Beachtown. Within a year, the two were happily together and trying for a child with the use of a surrogate. When Avon's grandparents heard the news, they were furious that their magicless grandson was planning to have a child, considering it a disgrace on their bloodline. They planned an attack on Avon, hoping to scare the boy out of it. It went horribly wrong, as he drowned in their water magic. The ship's medic, Hen Starrun, performed CPR where the rest of the crew argued over whether or not to keep trying to revive Avon or to curse him into a Night Fang. Something that they know that he didn't want, at least until he had children. Lilac ended up being the tiebreaker, begging Terry to save Avon no matter the cost. Avon awoke as a Night Fang with their partner at their side. Calobios, who had grown fond of Avon since their meeting, stripped grandparents Caspian and Cowrie of their powers as punishment for nearly killing Avon, accident or not. Avon and Lilac ended up getting lucky, as their surrogate fawn later revealed she was already pregnant. 9 months later, Rosie Swale was born, named after ancestor Rose. She lived at a beach house with her grandparents, aunt, and Lilac, Avon spending half the time with them and the other half sailing on the blooming dusk, sometimes taking Lilac and young Rosie with him. Unlike Avon, Rosie actually was born with water magic. She goes on to fully join the crew with her father when she turns 18. And that's more or less what I've written of these two characters' stories. This specific scene that I'm drawing today, I imagine takes place when Rosie is a young child, seeing one of her first snows. The beach where they live doesn't get much of a winter, but does occasionally get a bit of a snowfall. The lyrics I add are from the song The Nights by Avicii. They read, "Go venture far beyond the shore. Don't forsake this life of yours. I'll guide you home no matter where you are." I very much associate this song with the two of them, and it also felt fitting for this moment. Thanks for watching. If you want to see more of Avon and Rosie or other of my OCs, I post a bit more about them on my social media, all linked in the description. My Art Fight page is also a good place to check out for that. I hope you all are having a good holiday season, whatever you celebrate, if anything. Next week will be my channel rewind, and Cattails Tuesday is already into January too, so this will be the last you'll hear from me this year. I wish you all a very happy New Year's, and thank you for spending some of 2023 with me. If you're a long-time subscriber or this is your first time here, I appreciate you. And with that, I'll see you next Thursday in 2024.